It was one of those cold mornings where even breathing felt heavy, where every breath turned into smoke, and the world seemed like it hadn't fully woken up yet. Maple Creek was quiet that morning, the kind of quiet that makes a town feel smaller than it really is. Inside a small, worn-down house on the edge of town lived a 17-year-old boy named Eli Carter and his 12-year-old sister Maddie. They didn't have much. Not money, not comfort, not certainty. But they had each other, and sometimes that was enough to survive another day. Eli sat at the kitchen table staring at an empty cereal box, his hoodie pulled tight around his face. His phone screen was cracked, his eyes tired, his shoulders already carrying weight far heavier than his age. Across from him, Maddie ate the last piece of toast slowly, like she was trying to make it last longer than it could. Their mother had been gone for a year now. Their father had disappeared long before grief ever entered their lives. So the house felt quieter these days, not just because of missing voices, but because responsibility had arrived too early. Eli worried about money, about the future, about how long he could keep pretending everything was fine. Maddie noticed those worries, even when he tried to hide them behind jokes and smiles. That morning passed like most others, quietly, heavily, until life placed a moment in their path that would change everything. Later that afternoon, as they walked toward school, the sky hung low and gray. The air was sharp, biting through layers of clothing. Every step crunched against frozen ground. Near the bus stop, they noticed a man sitting alone. His coat was thin, his hands shook uncontrollably. People passed him without slowing down, without meeting his eyes, without acknowledging his existence. Maddie noticed what others ignored. She always did. Eli noticed too, and at first he kept walking. Not because he didn't care, but because caring felt dangerous when you already had so little. But a few steps later, something stopped him. Not the cold. Not fear. Memory. Inside his bag was a blanket, the one that used to belong to their mother. It still carried her scent, her warmth, her presence. That blanket represented comfort. It represented home. And giving it away meant letting go of something deeply personal. Yet kindness doesn't ask whether it's convenient. Eli turned back. He offered the blanket to the man without expectation, without hesitation, without thinking about tomorrow. Only about the present moment, about another human being shivering in the cold. The man's eyes filled with emotion. And in that instant, something invisible but powerful passed between them. Gratitude, dignity, connection. As Eli and Maddie walked away, the cold felt different. It hadn't disappeared, but it no longer felt so sharp. Kindness has a strange way of warming places you didn't even know were frozen. The next day, whispers spread through the school halls. People talked. Some were surprised. Some were inspired. A small act had created ripples far beyond what Eli ever imagined. Students began leaving food at the bus stop. Neighbors started checking in on one another. Kindness was quietly becoming contagious. Eli didn't chase recognition, but he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, hope. Then winter arrived with full force. A brutal snowstorm swallowed Maple Creek. Power lines fell, stores closed. The town was buried in silence and ice. Inside their darkened home, Eli and Maddie wrapped themselves in blankets, candlelight flickering across the walls. The cold crept in slowly, testing their strength. And then, near midnight, there was a knock at the door. Standing outside was the same man from the bus stop. But this time, he wasn't asking for help. He carried grocery bags in his hands. He had found shelter. He had found stability. And now, he had come back to give. That night, they shared food, warmth, and stories. No labels. No pity. Just people sitting together, reminding one another what it meant to be human. Seasons changed. Spring arrived softly, almost apologetically, as if winter itself felt regret. Eli found work at a repair shop. Maddie joined a kindness club at school. Their lives didn't suddenly become easy, but they became meaningful. Acts of generosity became habits. Habits became values. Values became legacy. And sometimes, when the sunlight hit just right, Eli could almost hear his mother's voice reminding him that kindness never costs anything, yet somehow pays back everything. Years later, Eli stood at that same bus stop, now holding his daughter's small hand. The world had moved forward, but some things remained unchanged. A man sat nearby, cold and alone. Eli watched as his daughter noticed him, the same way Maddie once had, the same instinct, the same heart. And in that moment, Eli understood something deeply true. Kindness doesn't end. It travels, through time, through people, through generations. It moves quietly like the wind, but its impact lasts forever. And even in the coldest winters, there will always be a little light,